Welcome to another video tutorial. My name is Sven Goldstein and I'm product manager for our TWINCAT automation software. This video tutorial is about our TF6105 product, OPC UA PubSub, and I would like to show you how to configure an OPC UA subscriber in order to receive data from an MQTT message broker. There is a prerequisite to this video tutorial, which is a video tutorial where we have already shown how to configure an MQTT publisher that publishes data from an EtherCAT master, and I highly recommend to watch this video tutorial before this one here. So for this video tutorial, I have prepared a test environment, and here I would like to show you real quick the project from the other video tutorial where we have configured the OPC UA publisher that publishes data from an EtherCAT master, in particular an EL3318. And we have configured an OPC UA RT device. We have set up a publisher with a data set that contains the variables from this EtherCAT terminal here. And this data is published to a message broker here in this virtual machine. And the data is arriving here in the OPC UA PubSub JSON format. So if I connect a regular MQTT client to the message broker, I can subscribe to the data and see the data here as it is coming in from the OPC UA publisher. So I would now like to configure or to set up a TWINCAT project that connects, that subscribes to this kind of data and forwards the data to PLC variables. So I have prepared a TWINCAT project here, and this TWINCAT project contains a PLC project that is pretty much empty. So it's a standard PLC project, so there are no I/O devices yet, but we would now like to configure the OPC UA publisher. So I right-click the devices node, I select Add New Item, and I navigate to the category called OPC UA, and I would like to add a real-time OPC UA device. So on this real-time OPC UA device, I double-check the Settings tab, and on the Settings tab, you will find the transport settings for the MQTT transport. So we would like to enable the MQTT transport. I open the configuration dialog for the MQTT settings. I double check that my settings here to the broker are correct, and in our case it's the locally running MQTT broker. There is no TLS required for the local host connection. Only remote clients have to authenticate using a certificate. So all the settings are good here as they are. So I save this dialog, and I would like to double check the adapter tab. And on the adapter tab, I would like to select no adapter reference because we're using MQTT. And the MQTT communication in our case is going through the kernel sockets, so we don't require a TWINCAT real-time Ethernet adapter here, which is why we don't select the adapter reference here. Okay, so I saved these settings, and now I would like to configure a subscriber. And of course, you can always configure a subscriber manually, but I don't recommend to do so because it's a hell of an effort. There are a lot of settings involved in an OPC UA PubSub configuration. So, and for this, there is a standardized exchange format, a standardized configuration file that can be created from any kind of OPC UA PubSub configuration and then exchanged with another device in order to set up the counterpart. So in our case, we already have a publisher that transmits data to the message brokers. So we go to the publisher configuration, to our publisher project. And on the OPC UA RT device, you can create the configuration file using the export button here. So this export button creates the configuration file that can be then exchanged with the other project. So I just saved this configuration file somewhere here, maybe on my desktop. And then I switch back to my other project. Also go to the OPC UA RT device, to the Settings tab, and click on the Import button. I select the configuration file, and I will then be presented with a dialog that shows me what's inside of this configuration file. And the dialog says, okay, I have found a publisher in this configuration file, and this publisher contains a data set with 10 variables, and this is the default setting, and I would like to import this publisher as a subscriber to my TwinCAT configuration. So I hit the create button. And after hitting the create button, I will find a subscriber that has been pre-configured with everything that has been found on inside of the configuration file. And I also see a data set with my input variables. So, and those are the input variables for my publisher. So in our case, it's the different channels of the EL terminal that we are publishing data from. So I could now simply link those variables with PSC variables, with existing PSC variables, but I could also use an automatic code generation. So if I go to the data set here, to the data set fields, I will find this button create in PSC, and this will create a global variable list that has already input variables defined that match the data types of my process image variables here. And they are automatically linked to those process image variables by using the PSC pragma called tclink2. So I hit this button, and I will now see that there is a global variable list with the same name as my subscriber, with the same data set actually on my subscriber. And here I will find all the different input variables that are linked to the process image variables using the tclink2 pragma. So now I can activate this configuration. I restart TwinCAT in run mode. And then I will log into my PSC project, and in particular to my global variable list. So, and by navigating through the variables here on my global variable list, I can now confirm that there is actually data coming in on my different terminals. So here I have I can see the value of this first channel here, of channel 1. I can see that there is a temperature sensor actually attached to it. So it's 27 degrees Celsius actually in the room. So it's a German summer here, very warm. But yeah, so I can see data coming in. And that was about it. I mean, just to recapitulate what we have done here in this video tutorial. So we already had an Opus UA publisher that sends data to the message broker. So we already had that from the other video tutorial. And what we did here is we exported the publisher configuration into the standardized configuration file. We imported that configuration file in order to create a subscriber that fits to the publisher. We have automatically generated PSC code out of this subscriber, and we have activated the configuration. And we have now a fully working Opus UA PubSub configuration, ranging from a publisher that transmits data to the broker, and actually also a subscriber that receives data from the broker. So that was about it. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully see you soon. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.